Hello and good morning, good evening, good afternoon, and welcome to the last PhUSE webinar Wednesday of 2018. I'm Stephen Bamford, and I'm going to just start the session off today. And I'm going to start off by showing the agenda. I'm going to give a brief overview of what's happened in 2018 and also some highlights of what's coming in 2019. And I'm going to hand over to Frank, who's going to talk about the membership, and Scott, who will talk about working groups. And then finally, Luke Simon will talk about School in a Bag, which was one of the keynotes at this year's Connect conference in 2018 in Frankfurt. So Christmas is coming and everything, so we won't keep you too long, but I'll start now. And I really want to start by saying thank you. I want to say thank you to you all for supporting PhUSE throughout the year. It's been a great achievements, the events, the membership, and the working groups, as well as the communications that have gone on throughout the year. So on behalf of the board of directors and everyone in the PhUSE office, I want to say thank you for supporting us in 2018, and we look forward to your continuing support in 2019. Every year we produce an annual report. It's available on the PhUSE website, as all of our material is. Completely open and in front of any firewall. If you didn't look at the annual report 2018, save the time, because there'll be another one coming in 2019. So we'll be looking to update that towards the end of the first quarter. But this is like a summary document of really everything that's happened in the last 12 months, and gives direction on where PhUSE as an organisation is heading over the next 24 months. It seems a lifetime ago since we met in Heidelberg for the first conference in 2005. But since then we travelled around Europe, and this year we finished up in Frankfurt. And throughout those years, from the 270 people in Heidelberg to the 655 that were in Frankfurt, we've grown steadily throughout the year. And you'll see that in 2018, there's 2 bars for 2018, because that's when we ran our first event in North America, our first conference in North America as well. So in particular, when I look at 2018, we started in March with our annual CSS event that we run in collaboration with the FDA. We have about 300 people. We cap it at around 300 people because it's a working group meeting, a different type of meeting to a Connect presentation event. I won't say any more about this now, because Scott will pick up later in the webinar regarding the working groups, and that is very heavily linked towards working group deliveries. But one of my highlights of the year was the 2018 Connect conference in Raleigh. It was 2 years in the planning, from the first strategic board decision to actually implementing was about 2 years, and it was a great success, and it showed that there's definitely a place in the market for a quality conference like PhUSE. And we were inundated with over 550 people attending, which was an amazing number. And there's definitely an appetite for the PhUSE brand running these events in the future in America. When I looked at the numbers, and we did this as part of the preparation, when you discount the exhibitors and the board of directors, very, very few people, less than 20, actually travel from either Europe to the US or the US to Europe for the conferences. So save of the board and exhibitors and sponsors, it is almost a discrete group of people who either go to the US Connect or the EU Connect. And I think that's one of the strengths of the PhUSE brand, and that's driven through membership that Frank will talk about shortly. So the Connect conference in Frankfurt was another success. We just go from strength to strength in Europe. It was great to see so many presentations again, and as well as the presentations, some fabulous keynotes, and you'll hear from Luke later on today. So I'll pause on that, but I would like to just point out again that all of the material from all of our conferences is freely available on the PhUSE website following the event. Looking forward into 2019, well, at the end of February, we'll be in Baltimore. Probably going to have hat, scarves, and gloves, and it probably won't look quite as blue as that. Might look a bit white. We're not sure yet, but I'm sure it will be a great success. Over 400 people have registered already, and bear in mind that we're still in the 2018 financial year. We're really confident, and we think we're going to actually beat our target from Raleigh last year, which itself surpassed any expectation that we had. The more astute of you will see that we have a logo on the bottom right hand corner of the slide, 15 years of PhUSE. So PhUSE is going to be it'll be our 15th year of conferences next year, which we're really proud of. And the other thing I'd like to point out about this event in February is the speakers. We've got Steve Houseman, who used to work at the NIH, and basically he took paper grant applications from paper to scanned images. So very, very technology aware and ahead of his time. So he's going to talk to us about forthcoming technologies. And then we have Mitra Pohor, who is from the FDA. She's the Principal Deputy Director of the Office of Translational Sciences, and she's going to talk to us about substance abuse and about how you can use data to predict and protect people. So again, two very, very interesting keynote presentations during that event. The CSS is happening, but slightly later this year. It's going to happen in June. So every year we go to Silver Spring. No change this year, but I guess the big change is that we'll be guaranteed better weather than we get in March. Sometimes it's snow, sometimes it's sun, and sometimes it's rain. So I'm looking forward to visiting Silver Spring in the summertime. And again, Scott can talk more about that later on in the webinar. Registration opens shortly. The EU Connect continues to grow, and we moved to the Netherlands this year. First time we would have been to the Netherlands, and ironically, the place we chose is 50 meters from the new EMA building, which opens 2 weeks after the conference. So we had booked this prior to Brexit, so it all came as a bit of a shock when we realised how close everything is. You've got Michael Harris and Sophie Beck as the chair and co-chair. So all the usual streams and maybe a few new ones will be there. There'll be more information coming out in January, and call for papers, as usual, will be in March and April in 2019. So single day events, they continue to grow. We do 20 single day events a year. It was only last year, in 2017, we did the 100th single day event. Here's some pictures from events around the world, and just to point out that these happen everywhere from Japan, China, India, South Africa, all around Europe and all around North America. So really, really pleased with the growth of the single day events. And we're in the process of scheduling our 2019 single day events. They start in March, and we've got, in fact, in March, there's one in Europe, there's one in America, and there's one in India as well. And they run right the way through till December. And one of these events next year, I won't tell you which one, will be the 150th single day event. So it took us 6 years to get to 100, and it's only taken us another 2 to get to 150. So definitely growing. And if you're interested in getting on any of these single day events, look out for the emails that will follow next year. PhUSE News has moved from a paper-based brochure to a electronic website, which was launched last week. The link was in the monthly mail shot. If you haven't had a chance to have a look, please do take a look at the new online platform. We always welcome feedback, as you know, and we believe that this is a big step forward. I'd like to say it's because we're being more green. That is part of it, but it's also the postage cost as well, which has becoming huge given the global footprint of PhUSE, and it was postage that has really driven this. But it's good to actually have everything electronic within the PhUSE website. The final thing I'd like to talk about this year is something new that we've done. We've launched executive summits. There's been 2 for pharmaceutical companies, and there's been 1 for CROs. The pharmaceutical one started in the North Carolina event, and then during the Frankfurt EU Connect event, we basically had a CRO one and a continuation of the pharma one. Both will continue again in Baltimore. This is an opportunity for departmental heads and business owners to get together and to actually look at the future of what the organization, the industry is going to have to face in 10, 15 years time, and look to see how they can position themselves as we move forward. Minutes or newsletter articles are written about these events. So so if you want to know anything about them, take a look at the PhUSE news, and there's contact details if you would like to follow up and find out more. So on behalf of me, I just want to say thank you again, not only to all of you for listening and all PhUSE members, but I really like to thank the board and the PhUSE office as well for the support that they give throughout the year. And at this point, I'm going to ask Lauren to pass the baton over to Frank, who's going to now talk to you about membership. So thank you all very much.
Oops, hold on one second, technical difficulties. I'm having problems increasing my screen size, hold on. Okay, I should be able to get it to work now in presentation mode. Okay, can everyone see it?
Yes, Frank.
Yes, hello, my name is Frank Sank. I'm the PhUSE Membership Director. Have been for a number of years. Thank you, Stephen, for that excellent introduction. So I'll jump right into it. So when I think about membership, I think our membership is different. It is within our culture, the culture we've built over the years. And to go forward, our culture is very much based on doing things together. You can see from just these pictures how often over the 15 years of conferences, people have done these very same things. They unload, they load. They're not unionized, but they do a lot for PhUSE, and that keeps our costs low, but it also builds our culture, one of which supports everyone and everything we do in our organization. We often do these kind of word games and just try to take a gauge of where membership are, and you can look at these words that come around: inspirational, informative, sharing, networking. I've seen this done, and there's a central theme that I think, the one I like the most, is networking. It's been around for a long time. We really do consider all of our get-togethers, all of our groups, as one large network, somewhere you can just tap into and learn from, and also, you know, provide information to. Again, starting from our very first days of our conferences, we have wonderful poster sessions. This year we have wonderful keynote speakers up in the right corner. And this year, for the first time, we had given or teamed up with an organization to provide backpacks to kids in need. And this may be a start of a new trend for us to be more socially aware. We have in the past done things. I think we're just getting bigger and maybe better. And maybe this is something people want to get back to in a different way. But we had quite a good turnout, which you'll hear more about in Frankfurt for our bag packing distribution. Things that we're really proud of, you know, our breaks are well attended. Our exhibitors get lots of feedback from members. They get lots of questions. Our members learn a lot. We socialize, have a drink once in a while. And we also have wonderful Monday night dinners at our events. I think it's unique, given our size, that we've been able to pull off bigger and bigger and better dinners, where people get to see the other side, not just the business side, but the personal side of each other. And again, this all goes to building our culture. This is one slide that, the entire board, or most of the board here, they wanted to not go to Frankfurt, but they wanted to go someplace like Hawaii or the Caribbean. So they chose the next best route, and they put these shirts on. So it's a lighter side of PhUSE. We not only work hard, but we try to play a little bit here and there. And this is what the board wanted to show you, the softer side of the board. We're not all just work, roll up your sleeves. We do have a crazy side. Again, just to re-echo what was said earlier, our events basically allow us to bring everybody together. And our Connect events are getting more and more people, and now we're diversifying to at least 2 regions. And so greater opportunity does exist for our people to get together. And maybe, as Stephen alluded to, the US and Europe right now have separate attendance. Most Europeans go to Europe, and most Americans go to America. That may stay true in the future, which only means that without a US event, there were a lot of PhUSE members in the US that didn't get a chance to network. And we've opened that opportunity to them. So again, we're very proud of that, opening the opportunity for people to get together and network, because that is really one of the things that draws people together and allows them to work throughout the whole year, which is what you're going to hear about when we talk about groups, our working groups. Again, Stephen talked about single-day events, and these slides have been seen before, but they are going up, both in number, although they stabilized in 2018, and number of attendees. So we continue to get good topics, hopefully not repetitive topics. People haven't told us about that. And we definitely try to keep abreast of new ideas, even blockchain, which none of us understand, but it is a key word out there, and people are promoting it. So we become interested in it to see how it could help us. So Scott will talk more about working groups. I put this slide in as a reminder that working groups have been a huge success, because now people don't have to just see each other once a year. They have a reason to work together the entire year. So as I look at it, membership become volunteers because of things like conferences and working groups. And volunteers invest more of their time and also learn more, because when you associate with 5, 10, 15, 20 people on any idea, usually that brings about something positive. So what's happened to annual membership over the years? Well, starting from 2008, when membership first started at 502, we're exploded to over 8,000 members as of 2018. And I believe in 2019, we have a very good chance to cross over to 10,000 plus. What does that mean for the organization? Well, it only means to the organization if people come to our conferences, which I think they are, if they attend our working groups, which I think they are. And because of those things, out of those 10,000 people, we can start to feel, is it 10% or 20% or 30% or 40 or more of our members participating. So participation rates are really interesting to the board, and I think interesting to all of you, because we have a very dynamic, free-flowing membership. It's not on paper, it's in reality, they interact. This year, we took a different approach on membership rates. So we went to a flat fee for the first time. We still have a membership plan for groups of people at different corporations. So you can pay for 10 and get up to 24 registered, and all the way through 700 to $799 and above, we can have a reduced fee if you want to add more people. But individual membership this year is at £50, and all people have to do is email the membership office, and we'll give you information and forms and put together a membership list, and quite quickly we can get you on board. It's a good way for you to go to all single-day events. Our conferences require that you're a member. and get involved in working groups. And more than that, brainstorm, because the board is always looking for new ideas of how to reach out. My last thought was, and again, I started off, membership is really the heart of PhUSE. I mean, we can call it friendship, we can call it membership, we could call it networking. But really, when you go to our events, and I've gone to quite a few, not as many as Stephen, because he's been there since the very start. But what you see if you look around and observe people, are people really talking to each other. Sometimes they're talking on a personal level because they know each other after years of going to PhUSE events. Sometimes they work together and they come from the same company. Often they're talking about what they heard in a presentation or a keynote speaker. And this all mixes up to a very, very dynamic conference. You know, our 3 days of conferences have plenty of time for people to talk, either reacquaint themselves or get to know brand new people. So I do really believe it's the heart of PhUSE. It allows us to connect, as our slogan says. By connecting, we can share. And we've always said by sharing, we can advance our cause. And our cause, you know, good clinical data science, which is something we adopted many years ago. So with that, I will leave you with the thought is that PhUSE is always going to expand. I don't think our board or future boards will ever be anything more than expansion. And so if everyone can help us 2019 and beyond, spread the word, there is no maximum limit of members we can get. There are many people, technical and even quasi-technical people, who would like to know about PhUSE and what we follow. And so we hope to continue to attract membership for years to come with no cap on our membership. And I think that will only create even more of a dynamic presence for our conferences and anything else we plan. So with that, I think I will pass it off to our next speaker, Scott.
Thanks, Frank. Can you hear me okay?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, Scott.
Right. Let me just put this into, so you can see the slides as well?
Yes.
Awesome, thank you. So I just want to thank Frank and Stephen for giving us in the working groups the opportunity to come and give you a summary of our 2018. My colleague, Chris Price, is the co-working group director on the PhUSE board. And I just want to pick up on something, you know, Frank and Stephen both mentioned that I think is really key to the success of the working groups, and that's the people. It's our members. When we talk to people that are engaged in the working groups, one of the things that we hear is, you know, they are all volunteers, and we hear them say, well, the working groups have a really fantastic culture. It makes me feel as a working group participant, whether I'm actively engaged in a project, whether I'm leading a project, whether I'm leading a working group, or sitting on the PhUSE steering committee. It makes me feel like I'm involved. It makes me feel like I'm making a difference. So I think the working groups naturally fit into the PhUSE ecosystem. So where did we start in 2018 with the working groups? Officially on January 1st, Chris Price and myself took over as, or assumed our roles as the PhUSE working groups co-directors to the board. And like any, I'm air quoting the word leader, we decided we needed to restructure the working groups. And we did that actually to optimize your contributions. We recognize, again, that everybody's volunteers. So we wanted to bring some of the disparate pieces of the PhUSE working group ecosystem together and put them under one steering committee, one way of working, to maximize the contributions from you, our PhUSE members. So when you're engaged in a project or engaged as a working group lead, there are fundamental ways which to contribute. There are fundamental ways to do things. So we wanted to make the experience that you are having in the working groups more pleasurable. We hosted our 7th annual CSS. Again, to kind of pick up on Frank's point, although I haven't been to as many PhUSE conferences as some of the other members on the board, I did have to look back through our CSSs to realize that this was actually the 7th annual meeting this year, and it was hosted in lovely Silver Spring, Maryland, and again, another successful meeting where we were able to sit around the proverbial table and come and talk about challenges that we're having in the data science and regulatory science space, and hope to try to address those challenges with new PhUSE projects or work or deliverables from existing PhUSE working group projects. So this year we actually launched one new working group, the Educating for the Future working group, and the focus of that working group is to create a knowledge space under the PhUSE banner, where those of us that are participating, whether we're on the industry side or the regulatory side, or really anybody, given that PhUSE has an open publishing culture, anybody that's interested in learning, the Educating for the Future working group is about collating different new and interesting methodologies and creating an educational repository for those. So we as PhUSE members, or we as just members of the global community, can go out there and look at these knowledge resources and do some self-education. We also launched 9 new projects in 2018, and we delivered on 11 work packages. So again, I think that's a monumental accomplishment, given that we are all volunteers. We are all doing this I want to say in our spare time, or as part of our enrichment in our jobs. So it's great to see that we have this kind of motivation. We have this kind of drive to launch new projects, to lead new projects, to participate in new projects, to get work done, to deliver work packages that are not only making a difference in our ways of working, but making a difference in the lives of patients, which ultimately that is who we are here to serve. So PhUSE actually was recognized by the FDA this year and received an Outstanding Contribution Award for the activities on our liaising with the FDA. 2 of our members, Jane Lozano and Luann Kramer, were there to accept the award. So I wanted to present this slide to, again, sort of reinforce that message, that by participating in the working groups, we realize that everybody's volunteering and spending their time to dedicate to PhUSE and to the PhUSE working groups. But your work is being recognized. It's being recognized by the FDA. It's being recognized by your peers. So the contributions that you are giving back to the PhUSE working groups are actually improving the way that we are doing data science on the industry side, or regulatory science on the regulatory side. So where are we as we sort of close out 2018? We have 6 PhUSE working groups, 58 active projects. So I just want to pause on the projects for a moment. When we started this journey 7 or 8 years ago, we had 4 working groups that were sort of coming together and trying to coalesce around what it is we are trying to accomplish, what it is we're trying to do within the context of the PhUSE working group. So we probably had maybe 5 to 10 active projects when we first started. So as we close 2018, we have close to 60. And I think, from an all volunteer workforce, if you will, and a culture of giving back, we are getting a lot of work done. We're making a huge difference. We're running a lot of interesting projects. It's an opportunity for folks to get involved. It's an opportunity to show that we are doing great work. We strengthened our relationships with our key collaborators within the working groups. The working groups are not just a silo for PhUSE members to work on different activities. We collaborate globally. As Stephen mentioned, we are a global entity. We have folks from the FDA, the PMDA, the EMA, either participating actively or contributing tangentially to the activities that are going on within the PhUSE working groups. We have members from CDISC and HL7 actively participating in the PhUSE working groups. In 2018, we launched our first official collaborative working group project with CDISC. And We've added 2 or 3 other collaborative projects that are official collaborations between PhUSE and CDISC on PhUSE working group projects. So we're really proud of our collaborations within the working group culture to reach out across the proverbial silos and to be able to create this community that wants to come together and address challenges that we're having in the data science and regulatory space. As Stephen mentioned, the 2019 CSS is in the works. It will be again in lovely Silver Spring, Maryland, and again, hopefully, fingers crossed, we have good weather and would not be snowing as it would be in March or raining as it may be in June. So that planning is underway. So where are we going in 2019? The working groups are continuing to go and make our presence known everywhere. You'll see working group presentations, you'll see working group members, you'll see working group activities at the Connect events in Baltimore and Amsterdam. You will see working group members, working group activities at single day events. So again, we have this culture of inclusivity, we have this culture of getting work done, making a difference. We want to bring that and continue to bring that to all of the PhUSE events. As Stephen mentioned as well, the 2019 CSS registration opens in January of 2019, just before the US Connect in Baltimore. The registration is limited to 300 attendees, so we do encourage you, if you are interested in sitting around the table with your peers in industry, your peers in the FDA, your peers at CDISC, your peers at the PMDA, we encourage you to register early for the 2019 CSS. And then finally, just coming back to the membership or the people aspect of the working groups, we'll go as far in 2019 as you will take us. We encourage that if you're not participating in the working group, there are plenty of opportunities for you to get involved. Whether you are a biostatistician that's been writing protocols for 20 years, have 50 submissions under your belt, whether you're a reviewer at a regulatory agency that has reviewed those 50 submissions, or you're someone fresh out of university taking your first job as a data manager or as a statistical programmer, we want you to get involved in the working groups, because it's you that drive the activities, it's you that make a difference. And I just want to thank all of those who participated in the working groups in 2018, and we're looking forward to another successful year in 2019. And with that, I will hand it back over to Lauren for our keynote speaker.
Thank you, Scott. Luke, I've just passed it over to you.
Now, I think I'm on now. Can everyone hear me?
We can hear you.
Excellent. And everyone can see the screen. Fabulous. Great stuff. Well, thank you very much indeed for giving me this wonderful opportunity to tell you about School in a Bag. And I guess for some of you who are at Frankfurt, it'll be fairly fresh in your minds, hopefully. But what I thought I'd do is just give you a recap of what School in a Bag is and how we work and what we do, and that will include a short film. And then we'll move on to talking about the EU Connect conference and just really how fantastic an opportunity that was for us, and to let you know where your school bags are heading. So we'll make a start, and I'll tell you all about School in a Bag. School in a Bag is an initiative run by the Piers Simon Appeal, which is a UK registered charity that aims to provide support to victims of disasters worldwide, regardless of race, politics and religion. And the Piers Simon Appeal was set up in memory of my older brother Piers, who very sadly died in the Indian Ocean tsunami on Boxing Day in 2004. At that stage in my life, I was a teacher in an international school. On that Boxing Day morning, my brother and I and 3 friends were on a little island called Koh Phi Phi when the tsunami struck through. I was very lucky. I managed to climb up onto the top of a 9-foot high corrugated iron shed roof. But sadly, my brother wasn't so fortunate, and tragically, he was killed. It took us 5 days to locate and find PhUSE's body, and we had a huge amount of support from a Thai community who'd lost their houses, their livelihoods, their family, and one young girl who helped me had lost 20 members of her family because they were celebrating a family wedding on the beach. And so really, it was that amazing Thai spirit and humanity that really infused us and gave us the idea to try and raise some money to help them. And that's exactly what we did. We set up a charity. We got our status in May 2005. And for the first 4.5 years, we raised money and supported communities affected by natural disasters. But then in 2009, we realized that model wasn't going to be sustainable. And we got involved in a project where we sent some rucksacks of school equipment out to very, very poor children in Swaziland in southern Africa. And I think we always said that if losing peers changed our lives for the first time, this project changed our lives for the second, because it just gave us this wonderful opportunity to get involved in helping children. And so we created it in 2009, and by 2012 it had started to generate its own identity and its own brand and its own sort of ethos. And so we rebranded, and we came up with the logo that you see here, and we gave the initiative a strapline, giving the gift of hope to a child's future. And what do? Well, very simply, we distribute rucksacks full of stationery, learning resources and eating utensils, and we send them out to very poor, orphan, vulnerable, disadvantaged and disaster affected children around the world. Now, sadly and tragically, there are millions and millions of children who fall into that category. UNICEF have said that 1/5, 20% of the world's child population will never have the opportunity to go to school. Now, that's a staggering statistic. And for a long time, we used to brandish the figure 75 million. But in actual fact, recent research suggests that it's more like 262 million children that don't have the opportunity to go to school every day. Now, if those children were stood hand in hand and they formed a long line, we worked out that they would wrap around the globe 6.5 times. That's the scale of the issue. And of course, there's lots of reasons why children don't have the opportunity to go to school. I've listed some on this slide here: famine, disease, conflict, war. But poverty is the single biggest factor that prevents these children from getting the really simple things that go into our school bags. Exercise books, pens, pencils, crayons, a pencil case, a math set with a sharpener, a ruler, a lunchbox and a water bottle. Things that, of course, we can afford so readily, things that we completely take for granted every single day. They're affordable and they're easily accessible to us. But for the children that we're supporting around the world, they simply don't have the opportunity to go and buy these items, and they certainly don't have the money to do them. And of course, these contents are so important. My children are using them daily in school. So you'll notice we put the word equality there. We always make sure within every single consignment of bags that we send out that the contents are always the same. We do this so that there is equality, so that when you put 100 bags into one crowded classroom, no child is differentiated because they've got something different. They all get the same. And we always make sure that the contents we put in are brand new. Therefore, we know that they should last the children for about the same amount of time. But I don't know about you, there's something that I still love about using a pencil and a brand new notebook for the very first time. What I'd like to do now is show you a very short 2-minute film that I think really captures in a nutshell everything that we do at School in a Bag, and it shows the way we work. Then you'll see some lovely examples of the children that we have supported thus far.
This is the situation faced by millions of children around the world. In some parts of Africa, the orphan children who went to school were given one pencil to last for the entire academic year. So what is the solution? The global need for these children is to give them the resources to write, draw, colour, calculate, express themselves, eat, drink, and above all, learn. School in a Bag is an initiative that delivers rucksacks filled with stationery, learning resources and eating utensils to poor, orphan, disadvantaged and disaster affected children around the world. Since 2009, School in a Bag have shipped thousands of school bags to children in South America, Africa, Europe, Asia, and Australasia. The school bags are distributed by 2 different methods. One, shipping school bags packed in the UK out to our consignee partners around the world. And 2, putting school bags together in country using international partners to source, pack and distribute the school bags using money wired to them by School in a Bag. The cost to provide children with a life-changing school bag is just £20. Every school bag distributed is numbered, and donors are able to track the school bag they funded through the Track My School Bag section on the School in a Bag website. More often than not, donors are able to learn details and see a photograph of the recipient, providing complete transparency to the whole initiative. Globally, there are millions of children who are deprived of an opportunity to learn. On an individual basis, a school bag for these children can provide hope to a lifeline out of poverty and hardship. On a world scale, educating the next generation is a key force towards human development and global stability. You can help us make a difference and lift children out of poverty through education. To learn more about School in a Bag, or to help fund your numbered, trackable school bag, go to schoolinabag.org or contact the charity through their social media platforms.
So there you get a really nice representation of the many children that we've helped around the world. And of course, the first project was born out of a big disaster in Swaziland. It's HIV and AIDS, and you know, my generation that contract the disease, if they don't get treatment and they don't get education about how they can prevent spreading the disease, they die and they leave behind children to fend and to look after themselves. So this first project that we got involved with was really about giving children the opportunity to get into school where they would be fed. Often that was their one meal of the day. But this little school bag just gave them all of the resources that they would need to not be a burden on the already overpopulated and very ill-equipped schools. And we learned some amazing statistics from that project, but one of them really stuck with us. And the children, if they got to school, were given 1 pencil to last them for the whole academic year. And we love the fact that our school bags come with a 12-year supply of pencils, and they cost us 35 pence. So each pencil is less than 3p. So it really just demonstrates and highlights how incredibly important every single penny is that goes into the cost and the makeup of our school bags. Now, the film said that we've distributed thousands of bags. Well, we're on track, actually, to try and reach 100,000 school bags by the end of the year. And we've got partners around the world who are very busily getting school bag consignments ready. We've got 2,250 being handed out in the next week in Nepal. And we'll have a very late consignment of bags handed out on New Year's Eve so that we can get to 100,000 school bags handed out to children in 39 different countries. The little red bags are the bags just like the ones that were packed in Frankfurt. They're bags that we put together and ship out. And the white bags are bags where we wire money to our partners, and all the stock is sourced locally by our partners on the ground, meaning with that method that we can get school bags to children anywhere in the world as long as we've got good partners and as long as we can buy the stock. So really that's an overview, a very quick overview of School in a Bag. And of course, we were so lucky to have the opportunity to tell the delegates at the EU conference in Frankfurt about School in a Bag, and we were really grateful for the opportunity to be a keynote speaker. And in that hour, I was able to give a little bit more detail about School in a Bag and give people sort of the longer 12-inch version, I suppose. But in it, I said that we had driven over from Somerset in the UK. We had a minibus, and we had 250 school bags with us, and we would love to take those school bags back fully packed and fully funded. And PhUSE very kindly agreed to effectively give everybody their gift from the conference, a school bag. And so this is my colleague Liz and Zoe on the right hand side, and we've set up an assembly line in one of the rooms, and this is Liz giving a tutorial about how to pack the school bags, because there is a technique to it. And they all listened incredibly well, very diligently, and the bags were packed nice and thoroughly. And then amazingly, PhUSE then agreed that they would top that up to 100 school bags. So that was great, but we still knew we had 150 left to pack. And it was just wonderful to be there over those 3 days and have delegates coming in their spare time, learning about School in a Bag and how they could get involved. And we've already made some amazing connections to go and take school bags to Geneva. We're speaking to contacts in India about, trying to get school bags very close to those offices. So it was just brilliant to be in a very different environment and have that opportunity to spread the ethos of School in a Bag to a new audience. And then, of course, we've got two people here who you might know. I love the way how Mr. John Salters blended in like Where's Wally in amongst the school bags. But it was really impressive to have these big bundles of school bags that we then put into the minibus we drove back to Somerset. And then what happens there? Well, we box them up. And ordinarily, we've got a rather nice box trailer that we take our bags over to a distributor who we use. But unfortunately, it was being borrowed on that day. So we live on a farm, and this is a rather more rural version of our box. This is an old horse box that we use to transport some of the bags occasionally. And these are the PhUSE school bags that were boxed up, and they were taken over to a warehouse that's run by a friend of mine, and he gives us free shipping to anywhere in the UK, where they're then put onto a container. So at the moment, as I speak, these bags are on the water, and they're heading to the Gambia. And a colleague and I will head out on January the 26th, and we will physically go and hand out the bags that PhUSE and the delegates there funded. Now, we've been working in the Gambia with some partners called Schools for Kids now for about the last 6 years. And it's a very different environment. We've seen the pictures, and I've been lucky enough to go to a few countries in Western Africa. So I know what the Gambia will be like, but it'll be an interesting trip. And of course, we've got to get these school bags out to some fairly remote children who are off the beaten track. So we use all sorts of different methods of transport in order to do that. And that's exactly how we'll do it. But I must say that when we get there, they make for absolutely wonderful photographs. We're very, very lucky to our partners out there who will identify the next school and the next children that are the beneficiaries. And then we go in and hand out those school bags. Now, occasionally, we will fund a whole container to send stuff to the Gambia. So we'll take football kits, we'll take masses of stationery, we'll take spare clothing. So we can actually do a slightly bigger number than just handing out those school bags. But we're really, really grateful. And of course, by the end of January, early February, we'll have lots of footage and lots of photographs that we'll be able to share with all the donors of those school bags in PhUSE. Not only did we take home the 250 packed, we then funded a further 180 school bags. So it was just a wonderful few days in Frankfurt. And on top of that, we got some great support from GCE, who did a little, what would you call it, a little token drop. And that actually raised $500. We transferred the money today, funnily enough, came through at £396, enough to fund 20 bags. And the PhUSE relationship hasn't finished there, because yesterday, through Christos Concept, we got an email from Laura Marquis saying that they donated a further £900. So, that outreach that we got from the EU Connect was fabulous at the time, and it's still coming in. So we're eternally grateful. So really, what's the future for School in a Bag? Well, it's really trying to get more of those opportunities to be put in front of the right people. We're really confident that School in a Bag is a great initiative. It's very bright, it's very visual, it's helping the future children of the world, which is really, really important. And effectively, the more people we can tell, the greater the awareness, the more money we raise, the more school bags we can fund. It really is that simple. So, if you're listening in and you're from a company that wants to get involved with their CSR program, then look no further. We can give you all of the tools and the access to getting school bags out to children with great CSR recognition and your donor brand in the images. And it's just a very bright visual way to be helping, children, and really giving them the same opportunities that my children have and your children have to get that education, to lift them out of poverty, and to just give them a chance in life. If you want to know a little bit more about School in a Bag, do please go onto our website. If I'm honest, it's a bit out of date, where the New Year's resolution for 2019 is to actually get the new website that we've designed built. So that's one of our aims and targets. It'll be much more interactive. But if you just want to know facts about School in a Bag and a little bit more detail on what I've been able to give you in this 10-15 minutes, and schoolinabag.org, and that little box in the middle says track my school bag. If you want to fund the school bag, which you can do through the donate here button, once you've got your school bag number, you type it into that little box, you hit track, and it will take you through to where you need to go to learn about your school bag. And finally, the last thing to say is thank you so much to PhUSE. Not only did you give us an incredible platform to present to in Frankfurt, you've also given me this opportunity to speak in your webinar, and for that really has been one of the highlights of 2018 for us. So thank you very much indeed. And it's the last thing I'd like to do is to wish you all a happy and a healthy festive season. Thanks so very much.
Thank you very much, Luke. I'd just like to say thank you to everybody for joining, and thank you to our presenters. Our next webinar will be held on the 23rd of January, so look out on the website for the registration link. And just echoing Luke's comment, really, I hope you all have a wonderful Christmas and Happy New Year. Thank you very much.